all sorts of different companies of financial planners all over the country. And over the next 4 or 5 months, almost every other weekend, I'll be speaking at their events, or we'll have events here. But we felt like, since we're in this community and we're part of this community, we needed to start just word of mouth networking and working together. Does that make sense? And so that's why we're here tonight, and that's kind of where we came from and what our angle is, and so that you guys understand, who we are. But let me, not to dwell on that, let me actually talk a little bit about some of the same things that I talk about when I go speak at those seminars, because I think they're of value. So go ahead and throw them all up, Terry. What's interesting to me is as I speak to investors all over the country, you see those kind of 3 categories, right? And what I find is that if you met somebody on day 1 of a seminar, they would think that the most important thing for them to get at that seminar is the knowledge and the content. Okay? And that the least important thing for them to get at a seminar is help with their mindset or help with understanding their weaknesses. I find that on day 1. They think that the only thing they're missing to making more money with real estate or to being successful in their life is a notebook full of tricks. Okay? They have glazed over the fact that maybe some of their Achilles heels or some of their failures are more about problems that they've had with their mindset and problems that they've had with their weaknesses. Now, in an hour, I could spend the next 30 minutes talking about how we analyze flips or how we screen tenants. We could spend 60 hours on the content side of what we do within our company and how we go from me buying a house at the auction today to selling it to an investor 3 weeks from now. But I don't think to each of you that's going to be as valuable as spending a couple minutes talking about these 2 categories. Because for me personally, it's actually the reverse. Think about the first duplex that I bought. How much did I know about real estate when I went in there to sign the paperwork for the loan? I didn't even know what I was signing. I go into the title company and had this big stack of papers, and I just remember thinking, well, Matt's a good mortgage broker, I'm sure it's all good. And those of you who bought a house are probably like, oh yeah, I did that too. And the title lady's kind of explaining Becca's laughing, kind of explains one page at a time, well, this is this, and this is this, and this is this, and you're just going, oh, you're just signing away, right?
Make the payment, everything else will go this way.
Absolutely. Because so much of our success, as far as the content side, is really about our ability to tap into a network of knowledge that helps us. Because what I really tapped into with Matt, my first mortgage broker, was actually Matt, the mortgage broker, and the real estate broker. Matt, the good real estate broker who knew that Hemet was a good investment market. Matt, who helped me find contracts to screen tenants. Matt, who helped me find contractors to help do the work. And so what I really tapped into was somebody who already had the knowledge and content. And if you think about it, I already had the mindset and beliefs that I needed at that point. Does that make sense? And so one of the things that I try to teach people think the biggest burden when they're first trying to be successful in this new arena is learning about it. And those of you with a college degree know how little that really has bearing. Because you graduate with a fantastic understanding of how to play a great game and zero understanding of how to do whatever your chosen field is. Ask my brother, the attorney, because he spent the first 2 years as the bitch in the law firm because he didn't know anything about law, right? He just knew how to get through law school. So let's go ahead to the next slide and really kind of talk about mindset and beliefs for a minute, because to me, more than anything, mindset and beliefs, go ahead and bring the first one up there, have the biggest single impact on our success. And let me illustrate that by telling a story. So this picture was taken a few months ago. My wife Tara and my 2 sons Casey and Tommy. And we're in Park City, and we had just spent the day skiing. Now, in November, I decided that this would be the winter the boys would learn how to ski. So my skiing training consisted of renting skis and then going down the bunny slope 15 or 20 times, and then going to the greens, the beginners, and going down those, and then the blues, the intermediate. And I tried the black diamonds a couple of times, and then went back to the blues after realizing that those bumps were on purpose and walking down the mountain, because moguls were not for me. So I had been skiing maybe 10 or 15 times, and I thought, you know what, I have never really enjoyed skiing, but if everyone's going skiing, I can always, make it through the day. I thought, this could be something really fun for the boys and I to do. So let's do it right, though, and we got them lessons, okay? Now, my sons live out in Idaho with their mother, my ex-wife, and it all started with the duplex. She never let it go. And
I thought it was moved to Indiana.
didn't make it that far. Don't edit that out. I don't even hear a link on that webinar. So, am I blushing? So,
I don't know, but you're red.
yeah, it's Jameson. So, my wife and I, Tara, actually commute to Idaho every other weekend. We get the kids 26 weekends a year, and then a week every quarter, so 30 weekends a year, we get the boys. She gets them 22, right? Yeah, and we get them 30.
Yeah.
So we go out to Idaho, and we love it. We have a place out there. We have a vehicle. We have a house that's just like playtime, all the toys and everything. And so there's a little ski slope right there in Idaho that with private lessons were $25 an hour. So I'm like, good, private lesson for each of the boys. And then they can just go at their own pace. So every other weekend, I go to Idaho starting in November, and we put the boys in a 1 to 2 hour lesson. The 5-year-old Tommy, he got the 1 hour, which usually he was done by like 35 minutes or whenever he had to pee. And my 8-year-old Casey, he would get the 2 hour, and Casey would never come back in less than 2 hours and 10 minutes, because it's so funny how children they just come out with their own deliberate personality. And Casey he listens, he's attentive, he processes, and he translates it into action. Tommy is a free spirit. His biggest problem with his skiing lesson this winter was that his instructors couldn't get him to stop reaching out to grab snow to eat while he was skiing. And Casey looks like he's from, like Children of the Corn, just staring, listening at the ski instructor, just soaking it all up. It's just funny how different they were, because I'd watched both their lessons. So Casey's, we are competitive in my family. We played sports, and it's just ingrained into our being. And the rule that I've had to have with the boys with being competitive with each other is that it's okay to hate losing, but we don't cry when we lose. We have to be good sports. And so Casey's, I start strapping the skis on about 4 lessons in, and Casey quickly notices that he's almost as good as I am, because Dad's had no lessons, and Dad skis horribly, and all of a sudden the ski instructor is shouting out instructions to Dad when they go down the hill, and not to him, and he's getting paid to have the lesson. And so he starts talking trash a little bit, And I'm like, you're not better than me yet, bud, okay? You guys are still on the beginner slope. Well, 3 weeks later, on the intermediate, I'm struggling to keep up. And so we planned this end of the year ski trip down in Park City. So we take the boys down to Park City, and an intermediate slope in Park City is not like an intermediate slope in Idaho at the $25 an hour hill, okay? Because Park City is mountains. And so we get down to Park City and we get a lesson, and those lessons were $130 an hour for a private, but it's 1 or 2 people. So I'm like, perfect. Casey and I are both intermediate. We'll take a lesson together. And Tommy can go eat snow for a half hour. We'll just pay for that lesson. So Casey and I spent the day with the instructor. He was fantastic. He's from New Zealand, and he was just a really cool guy. He did literally spend most of the day working with me. And he said, you know what, you guys are doing great. What we're going to do is I'm going to take you down the easiest diamond on the mountain. Is that cool? Are you guys okay with that? And Casey's like, yeah, I'm ready. And I'm like, yeah, of course, I will not let my 8-year-old, who just started skiing 4 months ago, embarrass me. He's like, but it's not that hard, because it starts as an intermediate and then it goes to, then it just transitions for diamond for just a little bit, right? So I have that in my head, and as we go up the lift, I just start to feel like the adrenaline releases in my body, and I just start getting really nervous, right? Because I know that I bailed on diamonds before and just took my skis off and walked the hell down the rest of the hill. I was not going to risk it. So we go down the intermediate part, and then he keeps yelling, Casey, wait, because Casey's just off. Like, he's just like, shh, 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 down the mountain. Instructor's right behind me talking to me the whole time. We get to the diamond portion, and I look down one side, and it's just a straight drop off down the mountain. And I look, maybe the size of this room. Down the other side was another drop off down the mountain. And those damn bumps again. Right? And I stop. I just put the brakes on. I'm like, no. And he's in my ear, and he's like, I've been telling you, mate. He'd been talking to me the whole time, and I could not hear it. Because all I could hear was my fear. Right? All I could think about was the two sides of that cliff. And he just said, look, all you have to do is stop looking down the mountain. Focus on that first turn. Okay? Stop trying to break through the first turn. Just let it go. Get through the turn, and then you'll slow down again when you come back to the other side. And you just do that down the whole mountain. So he talked me down the mountain, and I was just trembling with fear. And it was so interesting to me, the comparison between my 8-year-old who had the training, who listened and had excellent training from the beginning, and my patchwork, half-ass, lack of lesson learning, and what that amounted to, regardless of the fact that my son is 8 years old and I was 38. And to me, as I've thought about that experience, I think, Terry, go ahead and go through the rest of that slide, just open it up. I think that, go back. I think that if you think about it, our present today, the life that we're living right now, is a result of actions and decisions and feelings that we've had in the past. Think about that, okay? My fear on that ski slope started the second he said diamond, because it brought flashbacks of previous feelings and emotions that I had had. It brought flashbacks of experiences. Compare that to the experiences my 8-year-old had had. Perfect instruction in his ear the whole time. He never left the bunny slope until he was ready for the beginner slope. He never left that until his residual of thoughts and actions that he had taken were all positive ones. They were all successful ones. And so I think one of the biggest things when you're talking about mindset and you're talking about, what I want each of you to think about right now is what got you into this chair right now. Are you reacting to bad actions and thoughts that you've had in the past? Or are you reacting because you proactively have had success in the past, have an open mind to learning and taking action, and see this as part of that process for you? Okay, really think about that, because our reality that we experience today, your financial reality, the relationships that you're in, the successes that you have, are all a result of decisions that you've made and emotions that you've had. I mean, if you think about it, we have 60,000 unique thoughts every day. Okay? And for my brother, probably 40,000 of those are pornographic.
Those are replays, though.
Replays. It's his highlight reel.
That's actually history replayed.
Right.
It's not new thoughts.